Hello and welcome to another episode of Page Burners. We're working our way through the Malazan books in publication order by both authors Stephen Erikson and Ian Esselmont. We're currently working our way through House of Chains, 100 pages at a time. Today's discussion is going to be chapters 5, 6, and 7. Next week, I don't know, we're doing 2 or 3 chapters. I should look these up before we start, but never mind. Something like 2 or 3 chapters is what I've got on the schedule, I think. 2 chapters. Thanks, Shannon. And so that means chapters 8 and 9. Oh, sorry. 8, 9, and 10. 3 chapters. I didn't see one finger. Okay. So 8, 9, and 10
Sergeant
for
Shannon
next
is here
week.
to save the day.
Sergeant Shannon to save the day. And yeah, if you'd like to join us for the read-along, please check out the Page Chewing Forum. We have threads there that we do discussions in. We'll go around introducing ourselves and talk about what we're most excited to discuss from the 3 chapters we're discussing today. For myself, I think I want to discuss emo Crocus and all his very emo thoughts. That's all. Steve.
Well, I go first. Steve from Page Chewing, and I wanted to talk about the fact that Kalam has all these kids, like a lot of kids, and how depressing it was that the only thing he can do with them is to like train them how to be an army, not like be kids, just like let's train to kill other people. So that was kind of a bummer when I thought about it. So I thought that was an interesting conversation topic about
Nice.
what you do with a bunch of kids.
And while we're on that subject, I'd also like to ask how that relates to Felicin's adoption of several thousand kids, too. Crocus, who? Next, you're up.
Yeah, I'm Dan, and I was also wanted to talk about Crocus, but in a different way, in the way that before I got to the chapter, I completely forgot that he even existed, to be honest. I'm just wondering if it's like, I can't remember what their story arc is in this book, because I read this book, but I don't remember at all what their story is. So, I don't know.
There is a clue in the epigraph of that chapter, but I won't say more. Shannon.
So many characters.
Yeah, one of you.
I'm Shannon, and I think I would like to talk about comparing and contrasting our 2 casts that we get. In Chapter 5, we meet the 14th Army, and Chapter 7, we meet the Whirlwind Rebellion and all the cast of characters. And there's a lot that we could compare and contrast about the 2 groups.
And I am Carl, and man, I don't know if I'm more excited to talk about Tavor or to talk about the scene between Karsa and Felicin, where we see Karsa he's gotten into a little arts and crafts, I'll just say.
Arts and crafts. Carving the likeness of his dead friend, dead traumatized friends who he is traumatized by. Arts and crafts. Good summation.
He's opened his heart to the arts and the humanities, you know? Exactly. Yeah. Like he's actually very gentle spirited, and he only wants to kill most of his enemies now.
Yeah, he's also haunted by the ghosts of all the lines of Tavor. Oh my god, that blew my mind. That not only is he haunted by all the people he killed, but by all the people who will never be because of the lines of Tavor that he ended. That is a lot for one man to carry, even if that man is Karsa or Long.
Yeah, that's tough stuff. No doubt about it.
Maybe he wouldn't have killed them.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of dead. That, honestly, that could be like the subtitle of this whole book series, to be honest. Malazan, a lot of dead children.
It could be.
Could be.
House of Dead Kids.
House of Dead
House
Kids.
of
Yeah,
Dead.
that's right.
Found in
where's
chains.
the god of dead kids? I feel like they'd be really powerful.
I feel like Shadow Throne is kind of it right now. Those
Reluctantly,
kids were
yeah.
dying, or were they dead? No, they were
Not
dying.
that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's
Okay.
letting his boyfriend make them into an army of assassins. It's great.
Boyfriend, cotillion. Okay.
Of course, definitely not talking about
Kalam?
Kalam, yeah, whose boyfriend is absent and may or may
Quick
not
Ben.
appear. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay, with all that, we start this section entitled Cold Iron, which, like Shannon said last time, if you know, you know.
True that.
With a poem by Felicin, actually. That's the epigraph for this entire section. And we get a little bit of, I guess, elaboration on that with Felicin taking to poetry again. Apparently, she's finishing the poem that is mentioned in the epigraph called Call to Shadow, which her mother had started and she's now completing. And I believe, if I remember correctly, there were some epigraphs quoting Felicin in the first book, definitely. Probably in the second book too, maybe the third. But we've had a few epigraphs by Felicin. And so we now know when she started doing all that writing. Anyway, so after that, the Malazan recruits are introduced. We see some of the aftermath of the ending of the Chain of Dogs. And Tavor is introduced. We get, I guess, a closed room discussion with her. And a lot of this is from the point of view of Fist Gamut, who has a bit of an inferiority complex because he thinks that he's only there because Tavor's comfortable around him and needs someone to sort of do the administrative work of the army.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
That's a lot to cover.
Yes.
I don't know what to start with. I guess Gamut was the last thing you talked about. I really like him as a character, actually. Like I so far, he just comes across as extremely loyal and like decent-hearted, and you know, he tried to protect Felicin in his own way, and that clearly didn't work out. And he's self-critical, which I'm both empathetic and sympathetic to. I don't know. I just think like he seems like a pretty like decent guy. So, and I'll be honest, I don't remember where his story goes at all. So that could be good news or bad news. But I definitely am excited to read more from him. Yeah, that was actually one of the highlights. I maybe should have mentioned him because I really got attached to him pretty quickly.
Yeah, and we met Blistig, and I think the opening scene of this section is pretty evocative. It speaks of heartbreak. I think they it starts with them all breaking down the door of a tavern is tavern, the fantasy word for a bar.
Pub.
A pub, yeah, sure. Breaking down the door of a pub to find Squint. And I guess Gamut is being judgmental of the fact that he's drowning himself in alcohol. And Blistic says, remember that they're dealing with heartache. Like, you've only heard of what happened to the Chain of Dogs. We saw it happen, and we are traumatized. And this guy, he had to put the arrow through Coldane's head. And, like, that's just something that that's impossible to live with. So he's asking for compassion for this guy, which I thought was a brilliant opening scene and a great way to put us back to where we ended in Dead House Gates, because like we've had that intermediate memories of Ice, but I don't know about you guys. I've forgotten. Like you said you forgot Crocus existed. I forgot the rebellion existed. I forgot. I forgot. And now, like,
Just a little apocalypse,
just a little apocalypse.
easy to forget about.
I was wondering when I was reading that part, even the first time we read it, did the soldiers at Aaron have any special bond with Coltane? I couldn't remember if there was something there or not, because they seemed quite shook. I guess I don't know. I'm just not sure if it's like, is it just like the normal amount for like a fellow comrade, or did they have a special? Did they fight with him before?
I think it's a combination of, no, I know they didn't fight with him, but I think it's because, like, one, by that point, he was legendary. Like, we learned, right, that word of his exploits had even reached Rujistan on another continent. And then, on top of that, they were literally the ones witness to his fall.
Yeah.
And were also the ones who willfully, I mean, not all of them willfully, but they were ordered to let him die, essentially. And they did that. And so I think it's hitting them particularly hard because of that. And then Squint is the epitome of that, because he literally killed Coltane, even though it was an act of mercy.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Poor Squint. He's like an old dude too, right? Like, he's like pretty old. Isn't that right? And he's like, oh my God, imagine like being in your like later years of life and like suddenly having that to live with. Not great.
Yeah. No. And what do you, it might be a silly question, but what do you think of the use of the word heartbreak in this context? Because, like, for me, the association has always been, like I guess, with a significant other, like, bad things happen. But this makes a lot more sense. Like, it's similar sense. Like, it evokes those feelings, but then, like, I have to stop and change gears and realize that something else is being spoken of, which I don't know if it was just me that found it slightly jarring, but also really appropriate.
I did not find it jarring. I don't know. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
But I was just saying, I think heartbreak is usually used in that context of with a significant other, but I think it's effective in this situation too, because with a significant other, there's always the chance that things may work out sometime. This isn't going to change, so it's
unless they die, right?
Well, yeah, unless they die, unless they got an arrow in the head, but otherwise, things could come around.
I mean, yeah, you're definitely right. Like, you're not wrong that it is associated with romance. I guess I don't know why it doesn't feel like it has to be romance coded to me. I don't know if there's another story I've read or something that like used the same word for. I mean, it's grief. It's just a word for like a particular type of grief.
Yeah, I think because the word heart is in it, we usually associate heart with love and affection and relationships. Where in a war setting, it's usually something like guilt, regret, grief. So I think that's why it may have been kind of but it's appropriate. It's just not always used in that context. But what do I know? I don't.
What do I know? But
I wouldn't be too surprised if Coltane came back though at some point. Given all the crows and all the thing and the fact that the shamans came back, the warlords came back.
He could. No one's really ever dead, and well, other than Whiskey Jack, which whatever. But
he feels dead. Yeah.
I don't feel like it's like. I mean, he is reborn. Like, he was reborn. Like, that's literally how Dead House Gates ends. I don't know how else you read that scene. That's not like a spoiler or anything. Like, I think he's explicitly reborn.
Is it? Does it always happen when the crows get the soul?
I think yes. That's the story that the Wiccans tell earlier.
So it's not just the crows getting the soul, though. They went and sort of planted the soul in, I guess, a pregnant woman who was carrying a child who was soulless until then.
Yeah.
Did that happen? I can't remember that
that
part.
was the
Yeah,
last.
I
that
don't remember that part.
the very last wait, is that the very last scene? Yeah, that is the very
I
last
think
scene,
so.
isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the closing thing. Well, we don't see the actual like implantation, so to speak. It
No.
was like the crows flying towards her. I think she was about to end the pregnancy because the elders told her
Okay.
that the child does not have a soul, and
Yeah.
I guess the crows have come along to remedy that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And
has the
also-
really striking imagery of like she thinks it's like this black cloud coming towards her, and then she realizes it's a bunch of crows.
Right.
And also Coltane was reborn
So
into,
do all
into
the
a little
warlocks?
baby.
Sorry.
So we may
Yeah,
not
if he's
see
gonna
him
be
again.
back in the picture, it's gonna be a while.
I
Unless he
guess.
does, the classic like mythical thing of like growing, into an adult overnight.
I've seen it
Who
happen.
can say? Who knows?
But do all these warlocks and stuff like that, are they all like, do they live forever basically? Because every time they die, they just come back? Do they say that?
Didn't
No.
Sormokinath die for good, or at least died differently because butterflies took his soul instead of crows?
Yeah, that's true. I don't know though. Like, how do the Wiccans view? Like, do they have an afterlife? I don't remember.
They
I think they
must.
have rebirth. Which,
But then if they like die for good, what happens? Are they? I mean, is it like the Buddhist thing where they like
become a
kind
part
of
of
fade
the
into the
universal
universe? Yeah,
consciousness.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think we know.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we move on to Lostara Yulatabar. Or, sorry, Steve, go ahead.
Sorry, just want to mention, yes, most Wiccans believe in the afterlife, though it is not a single rigid belief. Many believe the soul is reincarnated into a new life after death, sometimes after a period of rest and reflection in a peaceful realm like the summer land.
Yeah.
The more you know.
So, okay.
What's that from?
Google.
Okay.
Not
Valid.
Google AI though, right?
Yeah. No, I think it was just well, I don't know, was it? That was at the top of the page. It was AI, yeah.
Oh, okay. 50% of the time it's wrong.
Fact check it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Someone contact the Wiccans. We need to know.
I had a stupid debugging session with an AI model today where it's like it said I fixed this. Then I said that didn't work, so it did the other thing, and then it went back. Okay, I'll shut up. But yes, it's wrong most of the time. So Lostara again at a bar. Oh, we started a lot of things with a bar in this chapter, I guess. And Pearl comes to find her with a proposition, which turns out to be Tavor asking them to go looking for Felicin, along with some history about the claw. And wait, is this where we are told about Kellenred and his cronies?
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
we knew
Yes.
some of it already, but not everything, right?
Yeah, some of it, not all of it.
Yeah.
That is really cool background. I do love reading about that. I want to briefly interject to touch on what you said about how we start in bars multiple times in this section. And in fact, we start in bars very frequently throughout the Book of the Fallen. I mean, even just in these first 4 books. So remind me, who here is familiar with / has played D&D, Dungeons and Dragons?
I think everyone, right? No?
Not me. I've never played.
Okay, some yeses, some nos. I feel like, whether intentionally or not, that must be a nod to the like classic trope of like in D&D, it's like it's a cliche even that the adventuring party starts out in a bar, and often they even meet in a bar, or they're a mercenary group and they are like starting in the bar. Like literally the like introductory module for D&D starts that way. And so I don't know if it's intentional or if Steven Erikson just really likes going to pubs. which I actually do know that's true because a lot of his books have been written in pubs. You can, like, if you look in the acknowledgments and stuff, he talks about like all the pubs and coffee shops he goes to and writes in, and he's mentioned it in interviews. So maybe it's just that. I don't know.
I can't
But
believe it. It must be intentional.
it right, you think, right, was just
Yeah.
how often characters are introduced in
Yeah.
bars. It's got to be a little tip
And
of
it's
the
such
hat.
a common trope, right? But he
Yeah.
can't not be aware.
Cool. What's next?
Yeah.
We
I
meet
mean, since we're
Sphinx.
talking about
Yeah.
Tavor, we can
Yes.
talk about Tavor because
Yeah, let's talk about
she's
Tavor.
quite interesting in these chapters because it's very, at least to me, like it's very hard to understand. Is she an idiot or is she like very capable? You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Because a lot of people say oh, she's this noble, she doesn't know how to lead an army, it's gonna be easy to defeat her, right? And I could believe that, and even a lot of her own soldiers think that, right? But then she acts very calm and very sure of herself. So I'm like, does she know something that everyone else doesn't know? Maybe, but maybe not, right?
I think you're asking the right questions.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can say much more than that, but I definitely think you're asking the right questions.
Yeah.
Is she competent or is she incompetent? Or, I mean, something in between. Does she know something we don't know? Or is she flying by the seat of her pants? You know, I think these are questions you should ask yourself.
And even her backstory is like, why did vampires choose her, right? Did she buy her way into it? Also, because some people say like, oh, because she's noble, right? But then Felicin doesn't really like nobles, it seems, too much.
Mm-hmm.
So
in this chapter, didn't Gammet's flashback imply that she gave up her parents as well as Felicin? I thought her parents had just died, but it seems that she gave them up to Felicin.
Well, it's a little more complex than that, in that they were the characters whose heads we're in and who we hear this from, like Gammet, for example, are convinced or are told that that's just what, like, they're going to die. The parents are going to die. There's no two ways around it. Like, that's just how it's going to be. Felicin maybe will have a chance if she appears to be sacrificed, but is not actually sacrificed. That's what we're told is true. Of course, you can debate whether or not that's actually true. I think regardless, there is no doubt in my mind that Tavor's first move as an adjunct, giving Felicin up the way she did, even though the plan was ultimately to use Bowden to help her escape and take care of her, was an enormous screw up. Just terrible calculation. And perhaps that was the best option left to her. That's certainly what we're told. I don't know if I believe that's true. There's usually more options than people tend to think, but certainly I think it did not go even the slightest bit the way she thought it would.
Yeah.
And now she's suffering a huge cost for that, not that she is aware of it. That's important to highlight. She does not know Felicin is Shaik Reborn. She has no idea what happened to Felicin.
I'm just curious why she became an adjunct. Like, what happened? And when was it? Was it before?
Very good question.
Was it before the whole raid and stuff like that? That she already fought? She was already being trained to be an adjunct, or she was already somewhat chosen? Or was it after? It must have been before, right? Otherwise, she would have been probably killed or sent to the mines like everyone else. No?
Can you repeat or rephrase your question? Because some of these things we do know the answer to, and some we don't so far.
I mean, if she was just a normal noble person before the riots and before all these nobles got killed, she would have also have been killed, probably, right? Like the way it's written, it implies that she had some sort of, she had some agency there. She could have done something to try to stop it, I guess. Even we don't know if it's going to be useful or not, but
I mean, what is unclear at this point is how, like, she must have been pretty deep in the military by that point, even though she's really young. Like, I think something this doesn't emphasize enough is she's like 19 or 20 or 21. Like, she's really young. She's probably like the youngest adjunct they've ever had, or like up there. And she is considered like a prodigy. That's how she's introduced in Gardens of the Moon by Ganos.
Yeah.
She's like playing a little like a war strategy game.
Mhm.
And she was like a literal child then, like 12 years old. So I imagine she did go into the military and was like very quickly plucked out to be adjunct. And then the question is, which I think literally someone asks or thinks, you know, in this section, why did Felicin pick her?
Yeah.
What is the plan there?
Yeah.
It's an interesting mystery.
But she wasn't in the military yet when Perrin went to her house in like 3 books ago or something, right? No, okay, because she was too young.
No.
To remember how old she was, but okay.
Yeah, it's tough to kind of follow it, but Gardens of the Moon actually takes place over like several years. There are huge time jumps in the early parts of the books.
It must be like 4 or 5 years, right?
At least. And then now it's been like at least another year, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Felicin's like 16 at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe 17.
Okay. But temporally, compared to the previous book, I think we're literally right now we're at the end of a previous book, right? Temporally, it aligns with the end of a previous book.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
'cause
like
we're
several
talking,
months after. They say that. It's like a few months ago, the bridge burners got wiped out and Whiskey Jack died and, you know, all this stuff happened. Like they give some rough time frame. It's a few months, I think.
Okay. But all the previous interaction with Karsa, that was like a year ago.
Yeah.
At least.
Well,
yeah.
So, but don't people in a few chapters ago tell Karsa about Moonspawn? So he was restrained for a while then, right?
Yeah. No, you're right. It's more than a year ago because they talk about Pale and how the siege of Pale is ongoing. And Pale by this point is like a few years ago.
Yeah.
So Karsa's been Karsa spent a lot of time. We've been with Karsa for a while. So he set out at the beginning of this book was before or right around the time Gardens of the Moon started, right?
That sounds right.
I could believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds
maybe
right.
not at the start of Gardens of the Moon. Maybe like once they get to like the Darugistan or something or Pale, right? Because I think there's some previous parts, right? Like
they
part
mentioned the
where
Siege of Pale.
Yeah,
it maybe starts. It's right around that beginning of Gardens of the Moon. Yeah.
Ages ago.
Yeah.
A year and a half ago for us or something.
That's
pretty
true.
wild.
One thing I did want to bring up was Varsha had mentioned it, so we get kind of like a rundown of Shadow Throne and his family, I guess, and the rise of the Empire. And I thought this happened earlier in the series than this. Man, I really liked it, and it has me so excited to one day read that Path to Ascendancy books that Esselmont's putting out that covers like this time frame.
Yeah.
Because I want to see some more of these characters.
Yeah. I was surprised with the fact that, like, basically, it seems all of them almost were, like, some sort of ascendants or something. It was not just
they at least aged
Calvin
slowly.
and... Yeah, so it seemed like they all had some sort of supernatural... Like, they were not normal people, right?
Yeah, because they were hanging out in the dead house
and stuff like that.
As like a base, and that imparted some stuff on them right off the bat.
Yeah.
I forgot who gave us this rundown. Was it Gamut?
Was it?
It's a very
How
good
would
question.
he know?
No,
How
no,
would
it
he
was.
know?
I think it was Knock.
No.
I think it was
No.
Admiral
Oh.
Knock.
Admiral Knock, yeah.
Oh, right.
That's right, because
Okay.
he's one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, he's the last
Oh, that's right.
Napan
Yeah,
standing.
Tavor. Yeah. Tavor's asking him how come he didn't drown with the others or something like that.
Mm.
Or like
Mhm.
why the others abandoned Lassine. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's so there was what was it? What was the end of it? There were like Nepan internal politics.
Yeah.
Is that the reason?
They were
Mm.
concerned about being, viewed as like a Napan coup, basically.
Yeah.
And so they left and knew that would mean
Yeah.
they would be, charged with assassination. And so they faked their deaths.
Hmm.
Yep.
Did you guys talk about Urko last week?
Okay.
The keeper. We didn't
I think we
name him.
discussed them briefly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, because it's like
I
it's
think-
not made explicit, but also I don't know that you like ever find out for sure who he is. So I don't know.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think there are enough clues because the chapter following the keeper, there's a quote from Lassine asking if any drowned
Mhm.
Napans showed up. And we know that the other two Napans that Tavor's referring to are the brothers, Carteron and Kokrast. And we've met Carteron. So, and he wasn't the keeper. I think we met Carteron. He was the captain.
Deadhouse Gates, yeah.
yeah.
He was one of the captains.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, in that fleet that
Oh, that's right.
in the ship that Kalam boards.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I think this
So
chapter
there's enough to piece it together.
gave us all the clues to conclude that that guy's Urko.
Yeah. So the
If you
like the
hadn't
guy
picked
who's
it
living
up,
in the
it-
tower, it's Urko. I had completely forgotten about it. Shannon mentioned it on the forum, which is why if you're listening and you're interested about all this stuff, join the forum, because you will gain more than if you just were in the wild figuring this shit out on your own. I would never remember that. Like that stuff. That's the sort of like very specific, like, because Urko is just so not important, but it's like a really cool thing when you realize who he is.
Yeah.
I just found him real memorable.
Sounds fun. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. When he's on the page, he
Yeah.
is very memorable. Those are some great scenes. And anyone who like kicks Kars's butt, that's always a good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we then move on to Strings on a boat, just about to get to Tavor's army. And Strings is a fiddler. We find out in like 2 pages time.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't
Why do we have to
string that
change
out
names
too
all the time?
far.
Yeah. I think he has a reason. Does Fiddler know yet that the bridge burners are all dead?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
think
he
he
figured it
does.
out. Or does
Does
he
he?
not? No, he hasn't mourned yet. I think I feel like he would be mourning more.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
But
he
I also
doesn't know
don't
yet.
know why he changed his name. Was it because Fiddler, like the bridge burners, have a
he's
reputation and he
technically
doesn't want?
a deserter.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that
Fiddler
one.
is a deserter.
And someone accuses him of being one, and he's like, but the deserters don't stand in recruitment lines again. So
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, Gessler. We get Stormy and Gessler and Truth back from
That's
the
true.
second book. And we learned that Stormy was
big
an
win.
adjunct in the past. I thought that
an
was pretty
adjunct.
fascinating.
Really?
I missed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, they talk about how Gessler was like a captain at one point, and Stormy was an adjunct to Kellenved. But then they both got
Oh.
busted down and rank.
Really? I would have thought they would be killed or something before being, I don't know. Like all the other ones. All the other important people.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Kellenved was different. Maybe he didn't waste people as much.
Yeah,
Because
I
we know
mean,
Whiskey Jack.
I
Whiskey Jack was busted down to sergeant. We knew that.
I guess.
I do think everything we
True.
know about Kalimved is he doesn't throw away good people. Like, he's really big on meritocracy, excuse me. Although he doesn't always treat his people well. But certainly if he thinks you're competent, he wants to keep you around.
Mhm.
I mean, look no further than Kalam, right? Who actively didn't do what he was supposed to do that would have leaned into Shadowthrone and Cotillion's plans. Like, he refused to kill Lysine. He gave up and walked away and is now living in the Warren of Shadow, raising the army of assassin children. Shannon, I know you're on a time constraint. What was it that you
Yeah.
wanted to chat about before we lose you?
Oh, I was just gonna. I thought it was in chapter 5 we meet the 14th Army, and particularly in chapter 7 when we meet the Whirlwind Rebellion. You know, they talk down the 14th Army like, "Oh, thank goodness the bridge burners aren't coming over. We just have all these recruits and stuff." But I just thought it was real interesting to look at these two groups and compare and contrast them because it, you know, even though these people are newer, they have it more together. There's a lot of loyalty here. There's a lot of experience here, even if people don't know it. Well, on the other hand, the Whirlwind, I mean, they're protecting a child predator because, you know, they need him. I mean, it's pretty awful over there. Which
Yeah.
Like everybody seems to be against each other over there. Like it's just brewing with sedition already.
Hmm. But would you argue that there's a lot of distrust in this army, or at least lack of faith in the competence of the adjunct? So it's slightly similar situations too.
Yeah, but I guess because of the Malazan military order, like nobody's trying to take it over from her. Like she's still the adjunct.
Yeah.
You know, there's still
There's
an
no
order to it.
backstabbing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
I think, I mean, yeah, I think that's exactly the dichotomy there, right? Is one is kind of the embodiment of order, and the other one is an embodiment of chaos. I mean, they literally exist in a whirlwind, right? And they are themselves driven by anger and wrath and retribution.
I mean, they're
and
goddess.
just,
That's what she is. She's anger
Right.
and wrath, and they represent that.
it's exactly and I don't think it is a coincidence that the ones who seem the most trustworthy, or at least the least outright hostile, are the ones who are the most even keeled. And, you know, they're not the ideologues, right? They're not driven just by like wild zealotry and emotion. And then, of course, you have the Malazans who are open to whatever religion. You just have to like pay your taxes and, you know, stay within the order of the empire. And, you know, it doesn't excuse the imperial mission per se, but certainly things are better ordered. And, you know, I mean, they're an actual military as opposed to this conglomeration of wildly disparate people who otherwise would be trying to cut each other's heads off.
Yeah.
I'm just so surprised every time we read about these Whirlwind people. Like, we haven't found a good one yet, have we? Like, everyone is like they're only there for their own reason, or they're terrible people. Like, is there anyone that actually believes?
At this point, I would say Leoman and Karsa seem like true believers that are, you know, on the level.
But do they believe in maybe Leoman, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say Karsa at this point, now that we know.
Well, Karsa just goes along with Leoman.
Right. When we first meet him as Toblakai, he seems like a true believer, but that was actually one of the things that really struck me, that once we were in his head here, he doesn't actually seem that zealous about it. Like you said, he's kind of just following Leoman because he feels some loyalty to him. And I do think he feels some loyalty to Felicin at this point. And maybe Shaik more broadly, but it's not like that sort of religious piety that you would maybe expect.
Plus, Karsa is not a good person, so I still stand by my point that I haven't really found a good person in this.
Lorik. We don't have any reason to think Lorik sucks.
But they
True.
think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
he's plotting with the others to bring down Felicin or take more power for
Yeah.
himself.
They think that,
Mm.
but they're all
Yes.
paranoid, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't know. We haven't been given reason other than, of course he is, because everyone's doing that, right? So maybe he is, right? I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying
Yeah.
at least our first impression of him is he seems the most reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like actually, you know, I mean, he's not like a raging murderer, child predator, piece of, you
Yeah.
know, cow dung.
What about
But even-
Felicin younger?
That's true. She's a true believer. Yeah, no,
She's
you're
a
totally
believer?
right there. Felicin younger.
She
Yeah, but
was,
she's
she
a
was talking
child.
to
Do we
She's
Hiboric.
not-
know that though? Like, she's a.
Yeah,
Do we
she
know that
talked
she's a
about Hiboric
believer?
about like arguing with him and debating worldviews with Hiboric. So the implication seems to be like, you know, she's a true believer in this, and Hiboric isn't.
If she's
Yeah.
not a true believer, she plays a true believer really well.
Yeah.
Mm.
I thought she was more like devoted to Felicin more than believing the rebellion thing.
It's the same thing though right now. I
I
guess
mean-
you
Yeah.
can question whether or not it's the same thing, but I think that's how she views it. And how a lot of people, I mean, it's like when you have this icon, you know, I mean, the effort, she's literally a messiah. Like that's explicitly what she is. So they're fighting a war for this messiah and the ideal she embodies. So naturally it's like, I mean, I guess that it is almost like a metaphysical question, or like, I don't know, a philosophical question. Like, is the, you know, the actual ideal, the rebellion, different than the messiah who leads it?
I mean, in this case, it is, because like Felicin has her own, at least she believes he has her own purposes, which are separate from, you know, she's basically in her mind using the goddess for her own purposes, right?
Right. And then is the
I mean, I
goddess
don't know
using
how
her?
true it is, but yeah. But they are separate entities in this case. I don't know. But even like
In a way, I get what you're
Felicin
saying.
says, yeah, go ahead.
All I'm saying is I totally understand what you're saying. I think you're not, you know, I don't disagree, but I do think that I don't know, it's messy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do like,
But-
and I did like in chapter 7 talking about this. We did see some people that like she's got healers healing some people that are sick. We children that are being fed. So we do have some good things coming from her. It just seems like all the people actually in charge are terrible.
Yeah.
Honestly, she is like the best thing to happen to this rebellion since its existence. Like she seems way, like, despite all of the like Felicin was obviously very cruel and hateful throughout a lot of Dead House Gates. And, you know, we talked about and discussed exactly how we should feel about her. But I think that she is much calmer and seems much more compassionate and actively, you know, she's still leading like this just destructive force, but she's actually, you know, like you said, Shannon, like doing good things within it, which the previous Shaik gave no indication of wanting to do that. She just kind of seemed like a person consumed by rage and spite.
Well, we get some backstory on her, and it seems that like she wasn't set up very well, I guess.
No.
For success. So I can,
That's for sure.
yeah, I can see how she was basically just a conduit for the will of, you know, the goddess and other powerful people. It seemed like they were just using her.
Do we find out at this point the background of the goddess? I'm trying to
now well, not
remember
the background
if-
of the goddess, but
theorized, but no, we don't really, not really.
Okay.
Like all we
A lot
know
of
for
wondering. Yeah. Sorry,
he does seem to be pretty sure that it's a piece of the Worn of Shadow, which is what's giving her power.
yeah.
But as far as who she is, what, you know, all that, not really. He just
Yeah.
Okay.
postulates some ideas.
And there's also the question of who's using what, right? Like whether the Warren of the Shadow made the goddess, or if the goddess is using the
Yeah.
Warren
Mm-hmm.
for her purposes.
Yeah. I did find
So
it
on a
interesting, though, talking about the goddess, like how even Felicin sort of questions the aims of the rebellion, because she's like, well, she wants to destroy everything, but then what? Right? She says there's no constructive after the apocalypse sort of thing, right? It just
Yep.
destroy everything and that's it.
Yeah, it's
So,
entirely
Yeah,
destructive
that's
force, right?
interesting.
She wants to make it creative, though, right? It is very
Yeah.
interesting. I think, in my opinion, Felicin immediately comes across as much more likable in this book. Like,
Mhm.
she is surrounded by vipers and is handling. I mean, her situation is clearly tragic, and you know, it's not good. Like, we don't want her to be here, but I think she is doing the best with the hand she's been given, and you know, trying to be proactive and to improve things, and that is always admirable, I think.
Yeah. Do you think it's because like now she has agency and just she doesn't deal very well with not having any agency or control over her fate, and that's why she was so spiteful and so just because she couldn't control anything. And
I
she
think that's
tried to
very
do it,
astute.
but
Yeah, I do. I think that is a big part of it. I hadn't fully thought about it that way, but I think you're definitely onto something there.
yeah. She seems definitely much better now than before. I mean, she's not perfect, obviously, but
No, she's just much more pleasant. She's not actively attacking everyone she interacts with or callously manipulating them. Like, she is, you know,
Mhm.
as a leader, has to be kind of like trying to move the pieces around her, but not in the same like addictively spiteful way
yeah.
that she had been.
And with Haboric, like in the last book, they were always at each other's throat, basically. Like here, he seems like much more like kind of like a bit of a father figure to her, because we see her crying and hugging him right at the end
Yeah.
when she knows that Param
Well, he's
is
our only
alive. So
true ally, as far as we know.
yeah.
Other than the kids, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, and
But like, what's
he's
real power?
Felicin's only ally. Like, more than Shaik. He's the only one that
Yes.
actually knows Felicin.
I wish so desperately that he would be more proactive. He's now caught in this rut of refusing to do anything and just kind of resigned to his fate. And like, maybe he kind of wants to be there, you know, be a shoulder for Felicin to cry on, and maybe he kind of wants to figure out what's up with his hands. But he is just so broken down. It's tough because he could, like, he is convinced that he could not improve anything. I don't believe that for a second. I wish he had a little bit of the drive Felicin has right now, because I feel like he could make a huge difference in their lives.
Yeah. For a bit of the opposite of the previous section, right?
It is, absolutely, yeah. He was definitely the much more active and certainly more like constructive one, while right now Felicin is. I wonder if that's, I mean, I have to imagine that's intentional, because they really do see their roles reversed, although at the end here, he's back to being the paternal figure.
Yeah.
I do briefly want to, and actually maybe this ties into it, the kind of like parent-child relationship of all of this, that like, you know, Felicin is now becoming this mother figure, which is, you know, this added dimension of tragedy and nuance because she's so young. And on top of that, she's a religious mother figure, so there's this even greater bizarre power dynamic. But Felicin younger, first of all, I'm not really sure how old she's supposed to be. Second of all, however old she's supposed to be, she does not speak like her age even a little bit. And that was driving me nuts the entire time. She talks like a grown woman, and this for me read like I'd be interested to hear Erikson talk about it, but to me it just felt like Erikson's desire to philosophize getting in the way of honest characterization. I mean, this is a traumatized girl, and she speaks like one of the scholars in the series.
Isn't the fact that she's traumatized reason to explain her sounding grown up. I'm comparing her to Felicin, right? Like Felicin.
Felicin didn't talk like this though.
Oh, when we were in her head, she was very poetic and slightly philosophical, I think, in Dead House Gates.
But she often like wasn't. I don't know. I just feel like so to get a bit more detailed with this critique, I believe that like it's not that I believe that like children can't, think about complex ideas or have philosophical conversations. Like when I was a kid, I did, but that it's not spoken of in this like kind of like classic literal or not literal, excuse me, lyrical, very poetic language that, has the rhythm and cadence and maturity of adults around them. Often it's kind of blunter, I feel, and not quite as poetic, with maybe the occasional poetic phrase. I also feel that when we're in a character's heads, the prose, like, we're not literally in their heads unless it's in italics, right? We're actually a slightly different, or excuse me, distant third person perspective that happens to be focused on this one character. It's slightly different that way. And so I feel like there's room for that poetic prose where when you're writing dialogue, to me, that's the most explicit in terms of embodying the voice of a character. I mean, it's literally the voice of the character. And I feel like I just don't believe Felicin Younger's voice. To me, she just sounds far too old for who she is.
Yeah. In my mind, I sort of thought she was like, like Paul's sister in Dune. That she's born as the, so she's already sort of older when she's born. I don't know. But maybe it's just the desert setting and all the other religious stuff that makes me think. But maybe
I wonder if that's an inspiration, though. That's interesting. Yeah.
The only thing I can think that might justify it is that maybe because she's writing poetry, it's just rubbing off of her, and she's just sort of a bit repeating the vocabulary of her mother's musings.
Okay, what would be really interesting, yes, is if she is just parodying what Felicin is saying. That would be very, very interesting and would actually be like, that'd be very clever writing. I mean, we'll see if there's hints of that, because I think that's a really interesting idea. And that is something kids do, right? Is just like parrot what their parents say.
Yeah. I just wonder if like Felicin maybe talks with her a lot or something, or I don't know what their dynamic is. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
I took it as the Felicin's become more and more powerful. So I just took it as that she's channeling some other something else kind of running through her and speeding up her development. It's kind of the way I just assumed that.
I'm not talking about the older one. The older one, I feel like I totally buy. I meant the child, like the younger one.
I just thought maybe the whirlwind or her power is rubbing off, on her Felicin Younger.
Maybe she was being sort of groomed to be the next conduit of apocalypse in case Felicin dies.
So, like, she's a savant. She's a kid genius.
That's an interesting idea.
I could believe that.
I also like that idea, is that maybe the power, is grooming her.
I mean, we've seen that with Karsa, right? That the gods or whatever just manipulate a bit and try to make them more their tools. They try to make them more powerful, right?
Honestly, Karsa is not even the best example of this. Sorry, right? Like she literally overnight, like in that first chapter, she talks like a girl, and then as soon as she's possessed, the way she speaks and the way she acts completely changes. And we see that again in Dead House Gates, where she's like kind of trying to find her personality again, and then by the end, she is like much more poetic, much more serious, and we're still seeing kind of the aftermath of that as Crocus doesn't seem to recognize her anymore.
Yeah.
Is that in these chapters or is that last week? Missing last week messed me up.
Crocus was chapter 6. I think we're kind of done with chapter 7. We can go back to chapter 6.
Rewind.
Yeah, I think up until this week it was all Karsa, and then now we went back to the pub, and everyone Everyone's
Yeah.
back, and lots of characters are back again.
Yes.
Yeah. So who else forgot about Crocus completely before? Because I did.
I love
There's
Crocus.
lots. It's not even Crocus anymore. You
Yeah.
forgot he was there. He's like, oh yeah, I remember him. Oh, and now his name's different.
Yeah. No, I like him.
Yeah.
I just like it's been a long time, and his storyline is so not connected to everyone. It's been are happening for now. It might later, but it's not for now. That I just forgot about it.
No, totally fair. Totally fair. I am obsessed with the fact that when he introduced his new name of Cutter, Cotillion was like, that's a little literal and on the nose, but I guess we'll allow it. Like that little lamp shading was just beautiful. And Cotillion is, I mean, I'm sad Shannon had to leave because I know he really likes Cotillion, but he really has by this book grown into a character who's much more likable and is having to grapple with his literal war crimes.
I really like that part, like the interaction between Cotillion and his other assassins, I guess. It's very like pragmatic, sort of like, well, you're supposed to do it. Maybe just do it as a favor, you know? Like, I don't know. He comes out off as very likable, I guess.
Yeah.
In these discussions, and very pragmatic compared to all the other god interactions we've seen before, in which they're a lot more, let's say, formal, I guess. Seems a lot more casual about it.
Yeah, he seems like more of a dude. I mean, he still has a level of formality and like he kind of is regal, but he's like a prince that you feel like you could actually hang out with, you know? Like you can have a real conversation with him, as opposed to Shadow Throne, who you know you'd want to like punch in the face within like 2 sentences.
Yeah, I really I think all the exchanges with Cotillion, whenever they come up, they make me want to read the Path to Ascendancy books, like Shannon said, because I want to learn about this character, how he is now. I'd love to see him as a human, because the moment when he is human, they are brilliant. Like they're sort of the cover of something really deep.
Yeah. You know what he
It'd be
feels? Sorry,
Mhm,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say he feels like Shadowfront has all these plans and all these things he wants to do, and many times they're not reasonable, and he's sort of the one that's like, well, now I need to fix it. Now I need to make it work. You know, I need to see how it is in reality and make things actually work. That's sort of the dynamic that I imagine.
Yeah. No, I mean, he does seem very like, he's the muscle in a literal way. And so he is more practical, I think. Shadow Throne to me comes across as the idea guy, you know, he's seen the big picture and, you know, is very good at what he does, but isn't necessarily the guy to like execute on all the plans by himself. But something I'll give him credit for, I think I said this earlier, is, you know, one of the most important skills of an executive, of any leader, is being able to identify talent and raising them up to do what they do well, because you cannot possibly do everything yourself. You know, talking about Augustus, for example, Emperor Augustus, right? Like that was one of his best skills, was being able to identify really intelligent people. And that's not to like say Augustus was like, you know, certainly by our modern standards, a good person, but he was really good at what he did. And, you know, he could identify. Okay, I'm not going to get into a history comparison too much, but I think Shadow Throne is very competent. He's just not necessarily a hands-on practical guy.
I agree. I think that's actually, now that you mention it, I think that's the thing that I can think of most of, like, oh yeah, that's what he's good at, like recruiting all these guys which end up being pretty good at what they do, right? And also choosing like the whole thing about, oh, you're going to be the historian, you're going to be this thing, and it's like this whole method of assigning responsibilities to people, right? Yeah, I feel that, like you said, that's probably his best ability. Because I can't remember, was he supposed to be like a genius at military things? I can't remember that.
No, he's not a general.
Yeah.
He's the emperor. I think the implication is, that he's actually a weirdly good leader despite his personality, and is maybe a good administrator. But even then, it kind of seems like Felicin was the administrator back when she was surly. Like, that's the implication we get from a lot of the stuff, even as far back as Gardens of the Moon, that she was kind of running a lot of the empire day to day, and while he was off trying to figure out how to become a god. Relatable.
Wow.
What else? So yeah, there were a lot of parallels. I'm glad Shannon pointed out the interesting like dichotomy between the Legion and the Rebellion. That wasn't one I had like fully kind of processed.
Well, are we finished with Crocus's part?
No, I think that's like Kalam and Crocus, I think, are actually maybe one of the comparisons you can make. I mean, Kalam seems to kind of have... Well, I think actually they both feel kind of lost. Like, to me, both of their POVs feel adrift. Like, they don't really know. They don't feel like they're in the right place for them. They don't know what to do, and they're kind of itching for that agency, that adventure, something to like get them away from this.
I mean, that's what Cotillion says, right? He's like, well, since you don't know what to do, I'm going to give you a quest, right?
Right.
Basically. But we don't know what the quest is, right?
No, they don't tell us. That's how it ends. Kalam definitely does not come across as a guy who would be a very good father, I have to admit. Like, he would defend his kids, he would, love them, but I don't know that, like, he would really know how to raise them.
Oh, who knows? I mean, did I miss something, by the way? Like, did he get married with that woman? I forgot the name.
He like calls her his wife, yeah.
Yeah, did that happen, or is it just
I don't know if they're actually married. Yeah, I was wondering that too, actually.
And why are they not getting along? Did something happen there? I also don't follow that.
Well, I know she's like proven to be kind of crazy and is like really pro turning the kids into psycho assassins, and Kalam isn't crazy about that. But other than that, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Like, what's their relationship? Do they like each other? I don't know. The way Cotillion described it is like, it seems like they don't really. I don't know. Or it seemed like the sort of whole thing, like, oh, like old boomers that have the jokes of like, oh, you hate your wife and all those sort of things. Like, why are you married then? I don't know. It gave me that sort of feeling a little bit.
I think it is maybe more that. Because, again, talking about like the kind of like comparisons, I mean, Crocus and Apsalar. Crocus clearly loves Apsalar. And the question at this point is, does Apsalar still love Crocus or not? But regardless, I think that, the dynamics are intentionally paralleled. And I think the really striking thing is how different Crocus and Kalam is. It's like Crocus is trying to be Kalam. But Crocus is like more of a... I don't want to say he's like more of a human, but I don't know. He does just feel like he's like Kalam is like almost a force of nature. Like he has depth. I'm not saying he's like a flat character, but Crocus to me, like, he's just kind of a guy, and now he's trying to be this really tough emo assassin.
Yeah. He's trying so hard.
He's trying so hard.
I was like, why are you? I was like, when she's like, oh, my name is Cutter now. It's like, what?
My boy.
You don't have to do it.
Yeah, it's like, you're trying way too hard. When Cutter's what you go for, you're like, this ain't you. This ain't you, kid.
Yeah, I don't... Maybe.
Wasn't this what Steve wanted to talk about? Did we lose him right when we were talking about it?
Maybe.
The Warren of Sleep took him.
Yeah. But was he also always that good at like fighting, or is just something that he learned now with all his adventures?
Yes. He had been trained in Darujistan, but he's been actively, like, Deadhouse Gates, he like repeatedly is training with his knives. That's like it's not like a big part of the story, but he like does it multiple times.
Fair enough. But he was somewhat known in Darujistan, right? Because Cotillion says something like, oh, when you come back, people are going to talk about this Crocus guy. So I assume he was...
I think something that's... Yeah, I think something that's understated too in Gardens of the Moon is all of the older guys he hung out with were like his mentors. Like, they trained him. So like, in a literal way, Ralik Nom kind of set him up for this.
Mm. Yeah.
What did you guys think of the Kalam discussing assassins as an inherently, like by nature, unruly lot, not prone to taking orders, very individualistic?
I mean, I thought that was just because, assassins by nature, you're supposed to be, not you're supposed to, but you often, kill people in power. So I assume that's what he was referencing. Use assassins to kill people you wouldn't usually be able to kill because they're too powerful.
Yeah.
So, but what did you think?
I wondered about it because at the same time, I feel like they follow orders, right? Like that's kind of the main job of an assassin is like do the thing you're told to do. But maybe it is kind of in a mercenary way where like, I mean, if the payment is really driving you, then maybe you're not, you lack those ideals. You're not going to be as loyal. That said, Kalam is like famously loyal to Whiskey Jack.
Yeah.
So he's also unusual, I guess, for the same assassin type he was describing.
I mean, you're also not forced to accept the contract, right? It's like you have ability to choose if you want to do it or not. So you're
That's
not
definitely true.
following
Yeah.
orders. I guess, unless you're in the army, I guess. But I don't know. I'm trying to think in real life, who are the assassins in like real history?
I mean, when I
there
think of
actual
assassins, I
assassins?
think of like strange, crazy individuals who act out in sudden acts of violence,
Yeah.
Like you think of like people who have like assassinated, leaders in the last few hundred years. Like often they're like kind of crazy,
Yeah, like not
and
professional assassins.
no, exactly. Like that's not a real thing in real life. Or if it is, we don't know about it, and maybe that's the point.
I guess maybe if you're like Secret Service then of some countries, then I guess you could be an assassin for Secret Service.
Yeah, I mean, espionage is definitely a real thing. And so people in that do, I'm sure, like, I mean, they've cooed people. And like, I know the CIA has done a bunch of that shit. So it definitely, I guess they are real in a way, but they're loyal to the state. I mean, that itself, I wouldn't call as like, it's not the assassin archetype of like these independent, workers who are going out and getting paid to take out some powerful person.
But I mean, you get people, you just pay this random guy to kill this person you don't like. What was it? Was it the Tiger King that there's also, a TV series?
Yeah, but those people are famously bad at what they do. Like, I feel like all the stories we hear about those people are like, they're crazy and incompetent.
Yeah. They're just random criminals that need money or whatever, people that need money. So I feel it's probably more common than a professional assassin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I would mention it is a very fantasy archetype.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely one of those fantasies. I mean, people love, badass assassins. Varsha, what do you think? We haven't heard from you in a minute.
About assassins?
Do you like
sure.
Crocus?
Yeah.
Do you like assassin? Do you want to be an assassin?
Are you Crocus or anti-Crocus?
Well, I think I'm Team Cutter.
Really?
Well, no, not really. I think I'm just I just really feel for this really sad boy who is desperately trying to get this girl to love him, and he thinks that becoming more like her, becoming her shadow, interestingly / ironically, will help him get more of her attention. And I think that is similarly like tragic about what it tells us about Upsala. We haven't been in her head yet, but the fact that she's growing more distant, that she's, I think, really only now really starting to feel the consequences of the possession, like of what she went through and what that's doing to her as a person. And I guess the people around her. I think all of that was like really just brilliant. I don't know how I feel about Cutter or Crocus, the person, but this situation is breaking my heart. And And
Yeah, her dad dying. Oh my
and
god.
that, yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, and how little time was spent on that, but how powerful it was. That, like, her quiet grief, I think he called it, and yeah. And speaking of things that, sorry to like really change the subject a little bit, but speaking of like 2 sentence things that that were so powerful, when Tavor says, "Find Felicin, find my sister," I
Oh yeah,
Mm.
like so
that
little
hit.
but so powerful. Like this,
Agreed.
I think these 3 chapters were maybe some of my favorite. I'm starting to rethink my ordering. I think I'm gonna push House of Chains up um more than Memories of Ice, which I don't think it has become my favorite book yet, but
The,
anyway, that's
the
I said a lot of
parent
things,
family
sorry.
drama
Hmm?
really hits. The parent family drama, like I that
Oh yeah.
stuff. I mean, I'm just a sucker for like family dramas in general, especially in like stories that are like not really about that per se. You know, where that's like kind of a subplot. You know, like it's just an interjection of humanity in often.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really thinking of like in genre fiction, right? Um,
Like world events or other people tearing a family apart or dividing loyalties in a
yeah,
family sort of thing. Yeah.
exactly. I eat that up. That always gets me.
Yeah. Lots of good stuff. I also really loved Karsa's musings about, I guess, everything. Mostly what the heck
About
was going on with
everything.
those chains. But yeah, like we got emo Crocus, we got slightly emo Karsa even. Like
Yeah.
You're so
this
right. I didn't even think of him that way, but he is kind of emo.
Yeah. It felt like a sort of therapy session or whatever, right? It's like, you know, when you go to therapy and they're like, oh, draw things or do music to sort of internalize or to process your trauma. That's exactly what he's doing,
Literally
right?
what he's
Yeah.
yes, that
Yeah.
is literally what he's doing. Okay, so this is perfect. This is transitioning to the thing I wanted to talk about, which is that scene that Karsa's doing arts and crafts now, and it is totally therapy. You're spot on. And by the way, Felicin also doing art therapy by writing her
Yeah.
poetry,
Yeah.
which is classic emo teenager thing to do. So I guess everyone's kind of in their emo phase right now. And Fiddler, strings, he changed his name.
Well,
He's
no,
kind of even gruffer. Like, I'm sorry, he's not playing music anymore. If he ever did, I guess we don't really know if he actually
I
played
don't
the
think he
fiddle or
ever
not.
did, right? I think didn't they
Not really.
say
People joke about it. Yeah,
what?
The
Where does his name come from? Because he was really
because of the
bad.
fiddle, he did have no. Well, actually,
I thought he was
he
like really bad at it.
no,
we
I
found
think
out.
he had bought a fiddle on a whim and he carried it through the chase in
Yeah.
Raraku. The whole
That's
time they were
right.
chasing Quickpen.
And Whiskey
But
Jack named him.
we never learned whether he actually learned to play.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
But he has something at the bottom of his pack which he won't tell anybody about. Do you think that's his violin? And if so, I feel really I'm having I'm having low-key anxiety about just the state of that instrument.
It must be destroyed. Like it's completely flat.
I broke my violin once by like because I didn't zip it up properly and like it just fell open and like it was fortunately a very cheap instrument, but well, it wasn't cheap, but it was okay. Like if it's at the bottom of his pack without protection.
Sidebar: wait, Varsha? I know you've read Name the Wind. Dan, have you read Name the Wind?
I haven't read Name of the Wind.
Oh, you
wait.
haven't read it? I thought you read.
Oh no, yeah, I've read Name of the Wind. Yeah,
You
it's very
might be
good.
thinking of Paromita. I haven't read Name of the Wind.
Who? Yeah, there was there were people I was talking with on the forum. I don't know. Dan, have I talked with you about it?
You've mentioned
Because
it.
one
I
of
don't know.
one of the things I love most is how the freaking use of like musical instruments and like objects that people care about become a source of enormous stakes. And some of the most heartfelt moments are moments involving instruments and things. I don't want to like give it away for people who haven't read it, like you, Varsha. I think you might like it. But it's
Not finished.
not that we'll ever get the third book per se.
Yeah.
But there is just some masterclass writing in terms of how you can make something so small, so meaningful, and how the most powerful scenes can be, relatively low stakes.
If you want to talk about music, it's been, Tolkien was very into, the power and the sort of storytelling of music. It's so much in his books, right? It's not a lot in Malazan, to be honest, but a lot of people try to emulate the sort of tone and the sort of use of like poetry and song that is in the Lord of the Rings, right? So it is a very common thread between culture and fantasy, I feel.
Yeah. I mean, because there's something magical, right? I mean, music is cross-cultural. It's, while different cultures have their own like kind of takes on it, it's like we've been singing and like hitting pieces of wood and shit, for hundreds of thousands of years. Like we feel, we just instinctively, like you think of like when you listen to a song that really connects with you, just the profound impact it can have on you. It really is remarkable. Okay, this is now I'm wondering, I'm like, Varsha, have you read A Song of Ice and Fire? Good.
I've read the first 2 books, haven't read.
God. I knew. I was like, now it's coming back to me, like the books you had, and I'm like, so many of my favorites. I remember now. You haven't read Robin Hobb, right?
Not yet, but we're reading that next year, I think.
I may join you for that.
Oh, yes, please do. Sundays.
You haven't read a lot of the classics, sort of, like the most famous ones.
Yeah. So what happened was I was reading Malazan, and
as you do, yeah.
And I told myself I'll read all of these when I finish Malazan. Then I started Wars of Light and Shadow, and then I postponed it further. And then now we're reading Malazan again. So who knows? But actually, the Wars of Light and Shadow space has cleared up, so I'm most likely going to do Hobb in that.
Okay.
Definitely want to read Realm of the Elderlings, and that's
what about you, Dan? Have you read Hobb at all?
I don't think I have. I'm trying to remember.
Oh my God, everyone's got to at least try her. She's one of those that like I definitely know some people or know of some people who don't really like her, but if you like her, like she tends to really hit. She's just again very emotional writer. Really, character work is Robin Hobb. Assassin's Apprentice is her first book and probably her most famous. Speaking of assassins, angsty boy assassins.
Yeah. I guess before we go, can you go back a second talking about Fiddler? I did enjoy the fact that we get a little bit in that part, not about Fiddler specifically, but we get a bit of backstory on how a lot of people get their, like apparently like the nickname is a institutionalized thing in the Malazan army. Everybody gets a nickname. And it seems like most of the time it's like the sergeant, the recruiter sergeant that gives you a nickname, or the training sergeant or whatever. Which I thought was kind of interesting.
I think one of our listeners called you Braven Tooth, Carl.
Because... Yeah, I was about to say that this is why, right? Is the anecdote that Braven Tooth created the names, and I've been throwing nicknames at people, like our adjunct, and now Sergeant Shannon.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd honestly, I have a confession to make, which is when I was called Braventooth, I did not, for the life of me, remember who Braventooth was, and I didn't want to look him up because I didn't want to risk spoilers. So I just kind of was like, "That's cool, yeah, for sure." And now I'm like, "Oh, that's right, that's why." Okay.
And this time, the only time I really registered that name was because you got called it before.
But thank
I like
you
the
for
fact that it implies though that there's sort of like it's a way of making everyone the same in the Malazan army, and you're like, okay, whatever your past is now, you're in the army. Now what matters what you do from now on. Yeah, which embodies the spirit. It feels all the Malazan.
No, that's a great point. Absolutely, it does feel. If it does, it embodies the Malazan military spirit.
And how
right,
cool and legendary is it that Fiddler named the guy who names everybody else?
That is pretty iconic.
Cool. Shall we do quotes? I feel like we covered pretty much everything. I guess the other thing that I briefly want to mention is that the word chains comes up a lot, and
Yeah.
in some contexts we kind of know, I guess we can associate with the cripple god-ish sort of, because there's some
you mean in this book, House
Yeah.
of Chains?
And this
Well, they haven't said
we
it
didn't
yet,
talk
right?
about these damn dogs and Charles Sanger and Onrak.
Oh, good point.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. Yes.
Okay. So I held up the book and saw the cover.
Important. It's important.
Yeah.
Well, no, you take us away, Varsha. You brought it up.
Yes. Okay. So first, Onrak, really cool. Another Tilanomas, and if anybody was missing Talk the Younger and Onos Tulan's dynamic, I think we have a little bit of that here again. The Tilanomas who just doesn't give a shit until he does, and then starts cutting down food to bring to the human / mortal person that he's hanging out with. So I love that. I love that dynamic. This duo, the introduction of this duo. And then then the image of Onrak dragging Trull by the ankle. Oh my God. That felt so much like a cartoon, but also...
It did. Yeah. The understated comedy of that was just chef's kiss.
And then they go on to... Onrak is separated from his people, and for some reason, he doesn't want to join back with them and maybe want to delay a little bit. And they're chasing someone. I wonder if they're chasing the Tilanomas gods of the Tavor, because they're chasing kin, apparently. And we learn that I think the Tilanomas gods, the gods are Tilanomas, and they were there on the ship after Karsa left last time. So... Oh yeah, they were in this realm previously, so maybe that's who they are chasing.
Did they see each other? I can't remember.
I don't know. And also, do we, Carl? I think we brought this up last time, but I wasn't sure of the answer. The Tilanomas that Felicin and co encounter, are they the Tavor gods? Do you think? Did one of them steal the Tistandi head? Because that would make sense, given what we know about their bloodthirsty nature.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
I think it's them. Yeah. It is very interesting. Onrak, have we met him before?
I don't think so. Or maybe we have. I feel like we have. But I can't remember.
That was the thing, is I'm trying to be like, is this a rereader thing in me where I'm like, yeah, I know Onrak? Or is this have we actually met him in the first 3 books? Regardless,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for the trope of the cold emotionalist person who suddenly has their heart warmed and gets very attached and just starts doing things without explanation to help the person. And it's even better when, Onrak, they're terrible at it.
Yeah.
And they just give him raw fish and they're like, oh yeah, I guess you're just gonna dehydrate because there's no fresh water. It's perfect.
So then in a repeat of my favorite Interstellar scene, those aren't mountains, those are dogs. We encounter 7 dogs, which again, the repetition of the number 7 is interesting. I have to find out more about that, because there are 7 Tavor gods. There are 7, as far as we know, hounds of shadow. 7 dogs now. Here, hounds. Why do I keep calling them dogs? Anyway,
well, they're dogs.
Yeah, and we end on a cliffhanger with all of this. With dogs sounds a lot more
friendly.
Yeah,
not dangerous.
Than the bloodthirsty hounds that 2 of whom are apparently alive and staring down at these guys. That's the cliffhanger we end on in that chapter, and we haven't gone back in the section that we've read.
Speaking of hounds, Kalam now has an agreement from Cotillion that, is it Blind?
Yes.
Is going to come to his aid whenever he asks for it.
Wait, is that Kalam or Cutter? I thought
it's
Cutter had
Crocus,
that name.
yeah.
Oh shit! Is it Cutter? I don't know. It
Yeah.
bled together for me. Okay,
Yeah.
Crocus. There you go.
Crocus.
Smart move by Crocus.
Yes.
Not a character, renowned for his intelligence, but that one very smart.
And I
Yeah.
don't know. I think just renaming himself to Cutter increased his IQ by 50 points.
Yeah, I think you're right. For
Okay.
sure.
But
The
these
name is so
dogs-
stupid, it took all the stupid with it.
Yeah, so that was a cool scene. I loved being reintroduced to these characters. And also, like, I just comparing how serious the opening was, like the prologue. We have no idea who this guy is. He's being shown, being exiled from his clan. And then to pick up from there to such an objectively funny sequence, I thought, that's like brilliant.
The buddy comedy. We do learn more about Troll as well, right? And the ties to Edir people, that they had forgotten their history and believed a bunch of lies, and they had forgotten they're from Curled Immerlon, but have been in the kind of normal mortal plane for a while, and that the Taist Andi had chased them there after exiling them or forcing them into exile, and they ended up killing all of those Taist Andi until new Taist Andi came, which is implied to be like Rake and his people, and they were cool enough and didn't care about genociding them. So they let them like just live on their moon spawn, I guess. I thought that was interesting, not only because it adds context to why Troll is in the position he's in, but it is a direct parallel to Karsa and the Toplikai. There's a consistent theme now of forgetting history, forgetting your past, falling for lies, and creating whole social structures based on these lies, and the pain and the cost of learning history, learning the truth, accepting the shadows, I guess, or the darkness. I don't know which is probably darkness. Actually, kind of feels like the better metaphor here, going on how the elements are used in Malazan. Shadows are the illusions, right? So it does kind of feel like the shadows are the fake history they made. Anyway.
Yeah. I like that.
Do we know what Warren they're in right now?
It's
Can't
another
remember.
fragment of Kurald
It
Emelon.
is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the dogs, they must be the equivalent of the hounds for this.
Yeah.
I mean, they cannot be, right?
So that's interesting. The hounds so Kurald Emelon is the Warren of Shadow.
Yeah.
Ish, right? So these hounds must be hounds of Shadow.
Yes.
But so are the hounds that are following
But I thought
Kellenwood.
Kellenwood's
Better in
like
Mianis.
Warren was like, it's like a minor Shadow Warren or something. So they must be like minor Hounds of Shadow or something.
Yeah, Mianos, however you say it, is an offspring of Curled Immerlon. Curled Immerlon is the elder Warren of Shadow. It's like the primordial Shadow. And so it has these branching Warrens that have been created, like
Somehow.
Yeah, somehow. I mean, by Cruel, and then sometimes by other people, I guess.
So he said 2 of the hounds are alive. Do you think those are the 2 that fell off from Dragnipur? And we don't know where the hell they went.
Good point.
And they ended up in these statues somehow, their souls.
Yeah.
It's a good point. It must be too much of a coincidence.
But the big difference here is those hounds are not the size of mountains.
Yeah. Well, these are probably the larger version, the elder version of the Hounds of Shadow, right?
The elder Hounds of Shadow. Yeah.
Yeah. It must be.
We'll have to keep reading.
Yes.
I suspect this is a thing we will get answers for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, a lot around. I absolutely did not register this the first time around, all this discussion of the Warren of Shadow. and all the fragments of it. And I
Mhm.
guess we got a little bit of some shadow history from Bidithal as well. And like that the first throne was
Fucking
formerly
Bidithal.
unoccupied. And yeah, fuck Bidithal, but also... and yeah, I think they were... These chapters, I think, were perfect in terms of like the amount of like characters introduced, the movement we got in the story, and a lot of like world elements that were introduced and discussed. So
What? Let's rewind a bit to the talk of chains, because I think there is some stuff to discuss there, and it actually ties into some of the stuff I wanted to talk about with Karsa and the statue scene, and beyond that, even to Bidithal, where, I mean, talk about like, it drives me nuts. One of, like, dramatically one of my favorite plots, but something that at the same time is always agony to read, is the plot of, there's this horribly evil person that we're allied with who's going to do something horribly evil, and we know they're going to do it, but we're not going to do anything about it because of politics. Drives me nuts that Bidithal is there, and that the most anyone will do is go up to him and say, you better not frickin' do this evil thing that you say you're going to do, and that you've been doing to just innocent children. It's just,
Yeah.
I like, if Heberick is going to threaten to kill him, like, just kill him. This is what I'm talking about. Heberick needs to step up. I don't know, or Leoman and Karsa for that matter. I get they're all like afraid of being exiled or executed, but like at a certain point, Bidithal needs to be taken out.
Yeah.
Anyway,
fuck that guy.
this getting to the chains, right? That like people have these chains binding them, right? As a metaphor, and it can be beliefs, it can be sins, guilt, shame. Like Karsa's is clearly, I he doesn't seem to express a lot of guilt for what he feels. At the same time, he is literally haunted by his sins. And I think that's very interesting.
which is interesting. They don't seem to me like... I could have completely misread Karsa as a character, but they don't seem to me to be personal demons. They seem to be imposed upon him,
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
which is
He doesn't create
really
them.
interesting. Yeah.
But I think that, again, like it almost feels like a metafictional metaphor, like the author playing God here, even though it, like, we haven't got into exactly what this means, but like there is an actual in-world explanation for why he has these chains and like what's going on there. But it is like, Karsa, you are such an arrogant shit. You need to be humbled, and you do not feel guilt. So I will literally make guilt a part of your existence, that every moment you're going to be reminded of the horrible stuff you've done. And he like processes that and tries to like find agency within it and make sense of it by making these statues. And then we have the mystery, right, of like, who are the other 5 statues? It's not the people he likes here. He clarified that. It's like not going to be Felicin or anything. So who is he going to make statues of?
I don't remember.
I think chains are a very interesting metaphor.
Yeah. And very versatile, because it comes up so often, intentionally, unintentionally, but you notice it every time. Or like I do now. I don't think I did the first time around. Even with Heberick, I think Leoman says something about chains binding him, and he like stops to think, and it's like, okay, what's going on there? And then there's Karsa with all his chains, and there's all the metaphorical chains that I think if you think for 2 minutes, you find that all of these characters are tied to.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
That's why it's like the perfect metaphor, where we all have metaphorical chains binding us, things that have been imposed upon us that fundamentally shape our actions, that limit what we do and what we can do. And, the question is like, how do you break those chains? And also, like, are all the chains even worth breaking? Like sometimes you think of like criminals, for example. Like, certainly not all criminals are created equal, but like you have the most extreme kinds, let's say. You probably don't want them running free, right? You kind of want them in chains. But also, like, even just thinking like emotionally, some limits can be good, for people, and binds, right? Like, family could be viewed as a chain, right? It's this connection that you can't break. Well, right. I mean, exactly. Like, what does it take? But even then, like, it's like, even if you break ties with your family, you're not fully breaking those invisible chains. Like, they're still going to fundamentally have shaped you and left chains upon you, right? It's exactly like you said, Varsha, so versatile and just such a rich metaphor that I feel like outside of this series, I have never seen used in such a broad way. Both very specific and very broad. Where it's like, talking about them in very specific ways, but in different contexts. So often it's just like tied to like slavery, as it should be, as it is in Malazan, but there's more, right? There's so much more to the symbol of chains.
And I have to think that every use of the word, like, because of the title, is very deliberate and layered and has a lot of depth, which you think about as you read, but also think you can go back and contemplate it for a long time.
Maybe Karsa is going to become the Knight of the House of Chains.
Maybe.
It's a lot of chains.
Certainly there are a lot of roles that need to be filled. We know as of last book.
Yeah. We shall see. Quotes, shall we?
Quotes.
I want to do...
Quotes.
I've underlined and highlighted a lot. But ChatGPT. Oh my God.
ChatGPT.
Let me see if I can find something good.
Oh, yes. Yes, I remember we did that. Yes. So, 1 second. What is this? I want Karsa's bit of monologue about Raraku. That was so beautiful. And
I'll say, talking about the metaphor of shadow, something that on my first read, I definitely just like glanced past and was like, oh yeah, this is an obscure quote that I don't know will ever understand really. But thinking about it now with more context as Dan's keys go clack, clack, clack. The opening to the whole act, the quote from Call the Shadow by Felicin, there are folds in this shadow hiding entire worlds. Which is interesting too, because there's an ellipsis after shadow, so it kind of implies that there might be more to the quote and that this has been shortened, but manipulated itself like shadows are, right? I mean, that's like kind of the idea, is you're manipulating the quote. Maybe like that feels like the sort of metafictional little poetic joke or
nice.
I don't know, bit that Erikson would put in, but yeah, what's up?
Or the ... is part of the poetry, like that's the literal poem, which also like could hide words.
Oh, true.
I like
yeah,
that.
True, right? That it is that she included that itself as this shadowy illusion. That's an interesting idea. It's vague, right? We don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there we go. That we can even discuss it. But again, that like, shadow we know as this metaphor now of like stories, illusions, the things that are not quite real, that are cast by light. And we haven't quite gotten into what light stands for in Malazan, but that these stories, the folds in these shadows that hide entire worlds, to me speaks to how there's so much more depth to people and to the events going on than you can never fully fathom. And they're obscured from you, but they're still there and they're informing everything. And I think it is not a coincidence that quote comes right before we meet a character who is deliberately difficult to read and is explicitly described as such by everyone around her, like multiple times. Tavor.
Yeah.
And that's what I'll say about that.
There's also the fact that we found out about, I think, at least 3 fragments of the Warren of Shadow. So I
That's a
think that's
great
sort of
point.
like a literal interpretation of
Hadn't
that
even thought
too.
about the literal. Yeah, you're totally right. This fucking Erikson guy, man.
Right? It's 1 sentence, 20 meanings. Okay. So I want to mention this when Karsa and Felicin are talking. Felicin says, "It is far too easy to see you as a not proud barbarian, Toblakai. No, the drive to create is something other, isn't it? Have you an answer?" I think about, I don't know what. If one exists, it will only be found in the search, and searching is at creation's heart, chosen one. I love that. That, like, both the process and the end goal are the same.
That is brilliant. I also want to, while we're talking about that, to touch on a bit of dialogue that made me laugh out loud as I was reading it, where Felicin is talking to Karsa and is like, I'm just gonna like paraphrase it. She's like, I have these additional drives, like not just to destruction, but my body, like I inherently desire to create. And he's like, well, just have a baby then. And she's like, you silly man, that is not what I'm talking about. It's so funny, and it just totally embodies both of their characters right there in that little exchange.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, I'll do my favorite quote, unless Dan found something from ChatGPT.
No, I mean, I'm not sure if they're real or not. They're not that funny though for now. But
Oh, they're not funny? Okay.
no.
The character arc of starting out calling out Steve's use of Google AI and ending with ChatGPT.
Yeah, I don't trust AI.
Me neither.
Apparently, Mr. uses it, types it in,
I use
takes a moment.
I
I
use
guess
it ironically.
I use it ironically. Okay.
Yes. Oh my god. Okay. So, what? Toblakai, about the dessert. Not ice
The
cream,
dessert?
just the dessert, Raraku. I know I mispronounced it. Although this could be a description of a really interesting flavor of ice cream, I won't lie. Toblakai, once a warrior of forest-cloaked mountains, had grown to love this desert. The endless stones of fire painted on stone and sand, the bitter needle plants, and the countless creatures that crawled, slithered, or scampered, or slipped through night air on silent wings. He loved the hungry ferocity of these creatures, their dancing as prey and predator, a perpetual cycle inscribed on the sand and beneath the rocks. And the desert, in turn, had reshaped Karsa, weathered his dark skin, stretched taut and lean his muscles, thinned his eyes to slits. And it goes on for 2 more paragraphs, but I thought that was so beautiful.
That is an amazing, that's fantastic prose right there.
Yes.
Second thought, what ice cream are you reading where that is describing ice cream? Actually, I don't want to know. I'm going to let you just like keep that to yourself. That's going to be your little shadow fold hiding. Yeah.
Interesting.
You know those intense milkshakes that they do where they like do a milkshake and then they put ice cream on it and then put like 30 kinds of sprinkles and chocolate and whatnot. It's like really terrible frozen yogurt. Yeah, maybe that.
Even then, I mean, I guess.
But it won't be beautiful. It's like, let me have the joke, Carl. Just let me have the joke.
But the jokes makes no sense.
That's why it's a joke.
I love that desert flavored ice cream.
Flavored. I just eat chocolate. Only chocolate for me.
Good choice. Honestly, good choice. I will say desert flavored ice cream does sound like a band name. Like someone should take that. If anyone's in a band, that's free.
Yeah.
It's not even like ChatGPT. You can take it. That was human created.
But maybe some indie
Marsha gets
band.
credit.
was that?
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be some kind of weirdo band
Mm.
for sure.
Maybe a band that makes songs about Malazan and their favorite deserts in one song.
I'm pretty sure there are songs about Malazan.
I think so.
pretty
I
sure.
think
Yeah.
like metal. There's
I
like
think,
some metal.
I think I've. Oh yeah. There's a band called Caledon Brood, and I've listened
That's
to
crazy.
some
That
of
is a
their
good
albums.
band name.
Yeah,
That's a
I
really
think
good band
I've
name.
listened to some of their albums, and there is definitely one female Malazan. So
That's
Nice.
cool.
I love that. Okay, so ready to wrap up? We will
Let's do it.
see
I think that's a
everybody.
good note.
Yeah, next
Yeah.
week with more weird flavored ice creams, maybe, and the next 3 chapters of House of Chains. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon.